officials are concerned that this is headed straight to the reservation. So before this went through, it was vegetation. It was
all nice and green, maple trees along the creek.
Beginning on Friday, dining in will be no more. Yeah, they're not firefighters, but they are crew. That's right, Kevin. I am standing here on the Redwood Skywalk, and according to Sequoia Park Zoo, they say it's the longest, the highest. But I can tell you that the suspect that they were pursuing is in custody. Let me flip the camera just to give you an idea. You can see behind me a lot of lumber. Well, that's because a big rig, which I'm gonna flip the camera around and we're gonna speak to PIO Paul Kraft with the California Highway Patrol. So let me go ahead and turn the camera around. Tell me what happened. And right behind you is the cab of that big rig?
Yeah, damaged pretty well. Luckily the driver survived.
If you look over behind the Cobra, you'll see a Type 3. He's considered a Type 2. And then we have our big shipster Type 1.
Which the public sees most often when a wildfire breaks out. Type 1s not only drop water on fires, but serve other essential tasks. Some tasks more dangerous than others.
They don't see all the cargo that goes up. They don't see us taking the troops up.
Yeah, anytime you're carrying any sort of cargo load beneath an airship, whether it's water or food and supplies, that's one of the more dangerous aspects of helicopter operations. Which is why only the best and most skilled fly helicopters for wildfire missions. I've been doing this for years. Some of the most skilled pilots in the country love working on wildfires simply for the challenge. As do crew members. They may not fly the aircraft, but rather ride along like Mika Mori, who is a heli-repeller for the U.S. Forest Service.
One of the capabilities that we have is to rappel off of a helicopter into kind of more difficult locations that you can't really hike into.
Then fight the fire from there with the help of someone like Matt Lindy, who supervises the fire traffic area.
Kind of like to explain it to people as it's air traffic control, but in the air, over the fire.
That's what they're watching. Yep.
This van is equipped with technology that works cohesively with the Cobra air attack helicopter.
Also for this in the wilderness where you don't have people down here, get smoked out, they can send that to planning.
Who will then come up with the safest, most effective plan to contain and eventually extinguish the fire. Deck Coordinator Bobby Ryan says helicopter operations as a whole can be challenging, but can also be rewarding.
I think that it's important that the public respects what we're doing here, especially with stuff like drone operating near fires. It can be pretty dangerous.
In Willow Creek,
Initial response included multiple water tenders because this is a non-hydrant area.
Crews arrived to a more than 14,000 square foot structure with small flames coming from inside the building.
I arrived first. I reported light smoke coming from the barn.
The initial engine deploying hose lines to prepare for a fire attack.
The smoke conditions started to change about 20 seconds later.
Which, according to Campbell, was most likely caused by collapsing hay bales, and then the barn
erupted into flames. It just was a huge ball of fire with black smoke. Thankfully, we had no firefighters inside.
Take a look at this time-lapsed video taken from Campbell's dash cam. You can see light smoke emanating from the barn within minutes, the structure fully involved. Campbell says typically crews go inside for small fires.
Thankfully, I had not put anyone inside because I don't think the firefighters could have got out in 20 seconds. It just happened so fast.
Campbell has more than 30 years of experience and has seen plenty of barn fires.
I've never experienced that. Usually we see the structure start to burn.
But in this case, the hay pile collapsed, which caused a dust explosion followed by a ball of fire.
For it to change the way it did, I don't have an explanation for it right now. So yeah, we're gonna do some research, try and figure out what exactly caused that.
By speaking to his peers in other departments.
See if we can, pick their brain, but it definitely is going to change the way I approach barn fires. I don't think I'll ever put a firefighter inside of a barn fire again. It's just not worth it.
No injuries were reported. Fire investigators believe spontaneous combustion of hay is what caused the fire. In Arcata, the fire off U.S. Route 96 in Hoopa Valley started Monday, and there are no signs of letting up.
It's going to get hotter and drier. There's predicted thunderstorms.
And the wind also a factor. Small gusts fueled the fire, causing smoke to reappear as you see here. I'm at milepost 21 in Hoopa Valley. Now, if you can see, this Type 1 helicopter is working overtime. It's going from Trinity River to the fire. Its job to put the fire in check.
So we're buying time on Division Alpha right now. We got the IC. He's out scouting the fire, coming up with a plan. The fire is not contained.
Structure-wise, we're safe.
Fire Chief Gregory Moon, also a tribal member, was just hired on. He says the fire
Has now been established into this drainage and is starting to do the flanking action I was talking about. So far it's on the north side of the Bull Creek, and we're keeping it on the south side of this ridge.
The plan now is to fight the fire indirectly,
which means we can't go right on the fire's edge. That's going to take more time, and it's also going to take more fire line supervision so that we can keep our firefighters safe.
Representatives from the Bureau of Indian Affairs, CAL FIRE, Hoopa Valley delegates and additional agencies gathered at the Hoopa Wildland Firehouse to complete the delegation of authority transfer process. Fighting the fire amid COVID-19 is something Moon says is a factor when it comes to logistics.
When you have a large incident, you bring those folks together. We're really having to try to do things a little differently.
In the meantime, Moon says they will continue to work the fire.
Depending on what plan makes the most sense, we'll make that plan.
In Hoopa Valley.
This is the boiling pan here where I'll boil for about 100 hours a week, so about 12 hours a day.
It's a routine owner and founder of Pacific Sea Salt has done for about 4 years now on the Samoa Peninsula.
All this gets filtered out before it goes to the next stage. This is the crystallizing pan here. So what you see in here is about 30 hours of salt crystallizing.
Which means it's time to harvest. Byron Duty says he's a self-taught salt maker. He originally sourced seawater from Bodega Bay. Duty came from Lake County and now calls Humboldt County home. The Bay, his bread and butter.
The final and highest quality product that we found we can make is a fire evaporated finishing flake sea salt.
Which, according to Duty, is one of the cleanest and purest. His salt is not in rock form but in flakes. Duty says Humboldt Bay provides the best seawater because the water in the bay recycles every 24 hours from high to low tides. The Alaska Current brings in cold, fresh seawater. That cold water has a denser sodium content, which is perfect for sea salt production. Duty says it's more than just boiling seawater.
You see that white pipeline right there? That white pipeline runs about 1,200 feet all the way back to the ocean over there on the dock. And then on the dock I have a pump, and then I use that pump to fill that tank up. From that tank, I move it into this boiling pan.
And from this boiling pan, it will concentrate and go from seawater to brine.
From that brine, I then take it over into the crystallizing pan.
And then a marketable product, which is 100% Humboldt made. Duty has expenses such as rent, packaging, and propane.
So the seawater's free and we're not running out anytime soon.
So you're packing your stuff. What did you get?
Milk, Pepsi, dog food. They had no toilet paper.
But they did have shopping carts and lots of shoppers to fill them.
I came here to get some dog food and a few other things, and then I ended up getting more than I needed because I found out Eureka's shutting down at midnight.
Those who ventured out were not only out to get groceries. With the shelter-in-place order, parents want to keep their kids busy.
You need to stay busy during the day, so I went to Michael's and I spent some money there to buy some fun activities for my clients and my children both.
Well, some had the patience to wait in line.
You meet people in line, it's awesome.
Some opted to go elsewhere.
Me and my daughter, we showed up and I just figured, we'll do something else.
It was just like, yeah, I got other things I could be doing today.
Yeah, I mean, I could take a nap.
Yeah.
Despite the frenzy to get last-minute items, shoppers seem to be taking it in stride.
Understand about why we're doing it. You know, I think everybody's kind of knows what's going on to some extent. So I'm not upset about it.
And for those out and about,
get what you need and go back home. And that's my advice.
In Eureka, heavily traveled Ronerville Road is completely shut down while under construction. The closure is necessary to allow the city's contractors adequate workspace to complete the more than $2 million project funded through a grant. Brendan Bird is the city engineer.
So what's going to happen is the contractor is going to dig out this entire roadway to get down to that pipe grade so that a big new precast concrete box can be installed. To do that, the hole they're going to have to dig is almost 40 foot deep from the bottom of the road. So if you look at this pink line back here, basically from that line where they're going to start excavating, the excavation is going to go all the way back to the back side of that big pile of rocks right there.
About 4 years ago, the pipe underneath Ronerville Road was damaged in a storm. As a result, it compromised the integrity of the embankment. They went ahead and put these boulders here as a temporary solution, but now the city of Fortuna has deemed this a necessary project. Detour signage will be in place during that time.
So to detour around the project site, the primary routes off Ronerville Road are Redwood Way, Kenwood Road, and School Street.
Fortuna City Manager Merritt Perry says the culvert will be fish friendly.
We've done a number of fish passage projects to allow fish to restore to their original areas where they were blocked from things such as undersized culverts or other types of barriers to fish that migrate annually.
The project is expected to be complete in early September. In Fortuna,
Well, it predates quite a bit earlier than gold mining.
They aren't firefighters, but play a crucial role when it comes to supporting those on the front lines fighting fires in the wilderness.
The mule hybrid, it's a combination of the horse and the donkey. It's always a mama horse and a daddy donkey.
These mules and handlers are now on a 2-week mission to support the crew stationed in the Shasta, Trinity, and Six Rivers National Forest fighting the Red Salmon Complex fire. According to Wilderness and Trail Manager Mike McFadden, mules are very durable, sure-footed, and intelligent animals and can each carry between 120 to 150 pounds of cargo.
There's a lot of different thoughts on mules and their use in the wilderness, but the reality of it is these are a huge savings for our taxpayer.
The mule team is carrying much-needed supplies to fire crews camped out overnight on the steep and treacherous mountains. And resupplying crews often require special equipped vehicles and helicopters. But when weather and smoke pose a challenge, the reliable mules are called in as they have been for more than 70 years.
We're bringing in any number of gear.
You don't have to be a cowboy to do this.
But you do have to have the dedication and skills to build up towards becoming a handler for the Forest Service. And it takes years of training. Sophia Ferguson is in her second of a 3-year apprenticeship.
You can't turn off from this job. There's a lot more than just riding across the mountains looking cool.
And according to McFadden,
there's no way to replace a horse and mule doing what we do in the wilderness.
In Weaverville,
this is a birthday cake, okay?
What once was a space full of inflated, brightly colored bounce houses,
That is the Incredibles.
Animated games,
and whack-a-mole and some pinball.
Now sits quiet. A sad reality for husband and wife business owners of Bounce-A-Palooza.
A wonderful role in the community, and we've enjoyed it.
As former educators, their love for children and the community is what kept the business going.
The kids that I've watched grow up, that's what I'm going to miss, is the interaction with the community. It's really sad.
They are now forced to close their doors after a string of uncontrollable sets of events.
Coronavirus and the PG&E outbreak were the stimulus that shut our business down.
Other crises that happened during some of our busy seasons, and then this shutdown with the virus was just the very last hit we could take.
What the owners would like is to see their business change hands and to continue to provide a place for kids to go all year round.
I really do think somebody younger with fresher ideas, new resources, could revitalize and continue what we started.
The couple says all they have now are the memories of all the children that brought them joy.
I love the business, but it's time to go do something else.
And that something will happen in due time.
When this virus has subsided, we plan on traveling.
For residents wanting to get their jump in at the Bayshore location, that will only happen if someone comes forward and buys the Play Center. In studio, Anique Joseph, Redwood News.